And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. We got the homie Tosin back in here, man. You can follow him as you see on the screen at Tosin, but that is what Tosin M, but with a zero in the name,
Yeah.
man. You can follow him on there. And of course, you can get in tune with his podcast, Shirtless Plantain Show, as you can see on the screen at Shirtless Plantain Show on all social media platforms, man. Tosin, how you feeling, brother?
I'm good. I literally just came back from seeing Sinners the second time.
The second time I've yet to
Bro.
see it. I will see it this weekend.
Let me tell you something. That movie is everything they say it is, and then some. I had to go see it the second time. So
did you see it in IMAX, or you just went to the regular joint?
I got 70 millimeter. I didn't go see IMAX, but it was 70 millimeter the second time I saw it. But it's special. It's really special.
I'm going to see it this weekend. I'm going to find me a nice, quiet movie theater in the Valley. Wait, I don't want to go see the Chinese student in Hollywood and none of that. I'm going to see it in the Valley this weekend. But we're here for another edition of Soccer for Dummies here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Shout out to everybody who watched the first edition, man. We got a lot of good feedback on that. It was one of our most viewed clips of the week last week, man. So shout out to everybody on there, man. Man, it was a very interesting weekend of football and interesting week in football with Premier League, with Champions League. I had my first Europa League this week, which was crazy on Thursday. Shout out to the NFL Red Zone style option they got on Paramount Plus. They also had the second. What's the name of the competition that's under Europa League that Chelsea was in?
Conference League?
Yeah, the Conference League. They had that up in there too. Very interesting, everything going on. Very interesting week for your Manchester United. Had a crazy comeback win in the Europa against is it Lyon or Lyon? How do you pronounce that name? Lyon 5-4, aggregate score being 7-6. And then losing 1-0 to the Wolves yesterday at Old Trafford. Explain the week from the highest of highs. First of all, I didn't know I had that many homies who are Manchester United fans. Yeah, now I understand why so many niggas were disappointed about me being an Arsenal fan. But tell me, what was just how the week went for you?
I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. When I saw it's up 2-0, right? I was like, all right, cool. You know, we got this in the bag. And then all of a sudden, we end up letting 2 in, and then they end up being 4-2. I'm like, all right, what are we doing here? Like this is just a stereotypical shit of what's been happening the last, last decade plus with Man United. Winning that game was just insane. I think that there is that drive in the team to want to do better, but they're just not good enough to do better. I think that they are good in Europa because they're a little bit more physical than most teams, but they're not that physical in the Premier League. So it was weird. And then Sunday we rotated a little bit heavier. We played well for the most part. Just players can't put away their chances. So it wasn't really a shock that we lost because that's what Man United have done. They're undefeated in Europa League, but they have lost 15 games in the Premier League. So it's just a weird juxtaposition with this team this year. It's so high and so low. There's no in between.
Yeah, I can see that as well. And the thing too, by the way, I'll put this out here for everybody out there following me on Twitter. Y'all got like 2 more days to say, oh my God, you watch soccer? I felt like that scene in Iron Man where we noticed that it wasn't Terrence Howard being Rhodey anymore, and he told Tony, I'm here now. Let's move on. That's how I feel right now. Leave me alone. All right. I'm 6 weeks in now. All right. Yeah. So I've learned a lot. You know what I spent my weekend doing this weekend? I went to the crates. Shout out to YouTube, man. I found a lot of them old season review videos and stuff like that. I've been doing all my Arsenal history and also league history. I saw an incredible documentary this week I text you about. 99, 3-part documentary on Manchester United's treble season, which to me is one of the best one of the best sports documentaries. It gave me a real Last Dance type of feel. And watching Roy Keane, everybody, David Beckham, and as somebody who is an avid Ted Lasso watcher, even before I started watching, the sport, my first thing was like, yo, did they take Roy Kent? Was Roy Kent based off Roy Keane? I instantly Googled it, and it was like, yes, that was the inspiration. Cause I'm like, this nigga give me Roy Kent vibes, and I put the name together, but it really just shows you just how much of a psychopath Sir Alex Ferguson was to it kind of felt like he treated them niggas like it was in a boot camp a little bit. Like,
yeah. He was the alpha and omega of that team. Like there's rumors that like back in the 90s, like when players go clubbing and he would know where you were at. So this is before cell phones, before anything. So Alex Ferguson knew if you were in a club you shouldn't be in, he'd find your ass and pull you out the club. I'm like, yo, stop playing around.
It was a great documentary, man. There's a lot of fire. If you're just trying to get into the sport, it's a lot of fire soccer documentaries like on Amazon. I watched the Real Madrid documentary when they won the Champions League. I think it's like 2 years ago. There's a great La Liga doc on Netflix right now from like 2 seasons ago. So a lot of good stuff on there, man. But what I got from the Manchester United, like I said, I have a lot of homies that are friends. My friends who are fans of the club, is just like how different Premier League competition is from these other European competitions. Even if you look at Arsenal, you can say injuries, things like that. Saka missed 4 months, whatever. They never were in it that much from what I've been seeing and going back and watch highlights from this season. But they've been playing a different level in the Champions League. So it's kind of like the difference. I know we talked about this last week, but if you're Manchester United, it's kind of like if you win this and you're able to sneak your way into the Champions League, how do you as a fan view this? Because I kind of feel like even with Arsenal, as I was asking some of the homies who are Arsenal fans, how would you view this season if we didn't win the Prem, but we won the Champions League? How would you feel about this as a Manchester United fan from how their season has been?
Remember that picture of Kobe when he had the title in the locker room? He would look like he was mad. That's exactly what I feel. Like, I won, but at what cost? You know, right. But it's a real prize because we do need that Champions League money. And I think getting Champions League, getting Champions League will bring us newer players, like better players, you know. So that is what we need. It's literally the 3 biggest games of our season, right? We have next week against Bilbao in Bilbao. Then the week after we play them at Old Trafford. And it's like, you have to win. You have to, like, I don't care because we're not going to get relegated, right? I would love it if
you're not. That's Leicester and them bum ass.
Yeah, Leicester, Southampton, and Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich. Yeah, those guys are done. But
Leeds got Bush pushed up today.
Leeds and Burnley.
Burnley,
it's annoying because they're gonna probably get relegated again next year. Just keep doing this dumbass.
That's cool. What do you think about that? Because I saw on Sky Sports this weekend, I saw Micah Richards, Roy Keane, and Gary Neville. Not there. It's Gary Neville.
Jimmy Carragher.
Jamie Carragher. That was Jamie Carragher.
Yeah.
He got an annoying ass voice. I know it's Jamie Carragher on Champions League, and Sky Sports is different. Champions League, he don't ever say nothing bad about Arsenal. When this nigga get on Sky Sports, he in peak Liverpool bag. Like he be wilding.
I'm not gonna say anything because that's my former employee. I got nothing bad to say, but I'm just saying that if you notice that, then hey, it ain't got nothing to do with me. If you as somebody who just came to the sport and noticed it, they don't me.
I peeped that, but they were saying that it's so tough for clubs to get relegated and come back up and stay up. Why do you think that's the issue?
It's just more so the competition is so difficult, right? The championship to me is a ridiculous league in the first place, but in the Premier League is like another level of just like intensity. Like you could be the best team in the championship, but you come in the Premier League and it's just like boys against men, right? And I think sometimes a lot of these championship teams, they come in real naive. Like Southampton this year, when they came back to the Premier League, they wanted to play out the back and try to be expansive. I'm like, bro, you're playing against a bunch of grown-ass men. Like, what were you doing? Like, you got to be solid defensively first and then attack. But it's one of those things where they have individually talented players. Like Liam Delap is really, really good. Like, he's a really good player. He's available for 30 million pounds in the summer. And Ipswich are going down. He's not. So some of these players are going to stay. Like Leslie Guchuku from Southampton, he's going to stay up. Tyler Diblin probably stay up in the Premier League. But it's like some of these players individually are good, but as a collective, they're just not a good team. So Burnley coming back, Leeds coming back is cool, but it's just like, are you going to be solid defensively first? Because it's a whole nother kettle of fish when you come to the Premier League. So that's it. Yeah.
And I think that's also when you talk about these transfers and stuff like that, because there's a lot of small. Now I'm still like, this is my first transfer window. I don't know if this is kind of like NFL free agent, NBA, when you start hearing whispers ahead of time. I don't know if these are, shaking hand deals behind, because this Victor Gyökeres thing with Arsenal kind of reminds me of the Bears and Drew Dahlman, who they just signed from Atlanta. Well, we were hearing 2-3 weeks, he's going to be a Bear. And it was literally clock hit 12 o'clock, 12:01 average after Drew Dahlman signs with the Bears. And now we're hearing today that Andrea Berta is basically negotiating the release clause with Sporting to get like, what is that window kind of like?
I mean, it's a lot of it's agent talk. You know, agents really put their clients out there, and then they also use media to also kind of hype up their players as well. You know, you go to Fabrizio, you go to this journalist, you give them a little bit of exclusives here and there because that would attract other teams to come buy your players. And sometimes you use teams for like their name and their clout, like negotiate better deals for your clients. So what happens usually is like you will link a player to Man United, there's no chance of going to Man United, but because of that name, now you can go to your, you can like, oh, look who he's linked to and this and that. So it really is just like a game of cat and mouse. That's all that is. Like some of these deals are done under the table. It's just a matter of just like when to announce it. But sometimes, it's a long process. It's one of those things where I've seen how the what's it called is made, for example. I've seen how the sausage is made. My younger brother played professional. Oh, yeah. My younger brother, my cousin both play professional. So I've gotten to understand it. My brother runs his own soccer agency right now. So it's like I understand how all these things work now. So it's just one of these things where you don't believe every single rumor. You believe the rumor that works for you. That's how I say it.
Which is what I do with all free agency with any of my teams.
whatever narrative fits your agenda, that's what you roll with. Because you never know what's happening.
I remember I spoke the Khalil Mack trade into existence. I said 2 weeks before it happened. Of course, this is before I started covering the team. It's 3 years before I started covering. I'm like, Khalil Mack's gonna be a Bear, and then it happened 3 weeks later. But I'm noticing like how all this transfer stuff is going. I've been peeping some of the rumors. We're hearing Kevin De Bruyne might be coming to Major League Soccer and Chicago Fire or something. I heard it's just interesting. We're starting to see all this more come up, but. Let's talk about Arsenal. I'm 6 matches in my fandom so far, and I've seen a couple ties. I've seen 2 wins. I've seen 3 wins actually. When you combine PL and also combine Champions League. Last week, I'm about to text you, and I was texting the homie Serge. I was texting our super producer Nikhil. While the game was going on, I was at the edge of my seat, and I was just like, "Yo, okay." We got 4 goals now. Can they really come back from this? Like, what's going on? I was a little shook when Vinny Jr. hit that goal that the Saliba was tripping. But you kind of see what's going on with Arsenal, with the way they kind of feel like. I know they feel like they can win this competition, and actually taking this past Sunday seriously and actually needing to beat that team the way they beat them. 4 goals, probably should have had 6. Saka missed 2 obvious ones he could have hit in. What have you seen from Arsenal really since Saka has been back? How do you view their chances against PSG, which is a really good team? And just like you can really see they're all focused on this competition now that Liverpool's probably going to clinch next week. What do you feel like what you're seeing from them?
I mean, even before Saka, I think Arsenal's a perfect example of how football fans have no patience. I remember when Arteta got hired in 2019 after they had Unai Emery, and Arsenal finished 8th back-to-back years. And I think a lot of fans, and it's happening right now with Ruben Amorim, where fans want immediate success, right? Nobody has that patience to sit there and let the whole entire play happen. It's 2019 to 2025. It's been a long time since Arteta's been at Arsenal, but he's slowly developed the team into what he wants them to be, which is a bunch of physical dudes who outrun you. They're better on the ball than you. So Arsenal, it's taken 6 years for them to get to where they're at right now. And when you're seeing it now, Arsenal are going to win these tournaments and these trophies because they finally have reached to that level of what Arteta's been trying to build for the last 6 years. So when I'm looking at this Arsenal team, they missed certain things. I think in the summer, Arsenal's needed to tweak certain things. They need to get a new striker, fix up their midfield a little bit. But what Mikel's done is built them out from the back to the front, where defensively, you're not going to really get past Arsenal defensively. They're one of the most stingiest teams. That's why I knew Real Madrid were going to win, because it's been 700-something days since anyone scored more than 3 goals on Arsenal. That's not by luck. That's by design. That's by having a really good coach and having patience with the owners and everybody bringing in plays that specifically fit as to how he sees his team. And the same things happen with my club is this is not a really good team. I'm seeing United fans say, "Oh, get rid of the coach." I'm like, no. It doesn't work that way. Like, you have to let his ideas land. If it doesn't work next year, then you're looking to fire him. But Mikel's been there for 6 years, and Arsenal's really giving him a lot of time and patience. So you're now starting to see the fruit bear. You know, like when they got Declan Rice, that was like a good piece for them to like really now ascend. Like, you have your spine of your team is Gabriel when he's not injured, Saliba, Declan Rice, and Bukayo Saka, and then you end up getting a 9. But now you got a bunch of players who generally fit what the coach wants, and they have confidence, right? That's the most important thing. Is like, you're having Mikel Merino doing, a back heel for Martinelli to score. Like, that's all confidence, right?
Yeah,
That's all.
he been balling too. Marino.
Yeah, that's all instilled from the coach, right? And like, it helps when your academy players are now in an environment for them to thrive. Like, Bukayo Saka got thrown into the fire when he was first at Arsenal, but now he's like an elder statesman of the team. So when Ethan Nwaneri and you have Miles Lewis Skelly coming in, they're around a bunch of men and a bunch of grown men. So like, they're now free to play how they want to play. So long story short, Arsenal's really like done this rebuild very, very well. And because people have short memories, right? They forget how long it took. 6 years isn't 6 years sounds insane, right? But it's really not that long. Like, if you think about the grand scheme of things, like, we now looking at Arsenal as like a favorite to win the Champions League. 6 years ago, you wouldn't have said that when they finished 8th. So it was one of those things where they progress each year, each season, each transfer window. They progress, and like, now you're finally starting to see the fruit bear. But you don't remember those barren years when they finished 8th back-to-back years, and you're laughing at him like, "Oh, you're gonna fire him now." They consistently finish in the top 4. So if Arsenal wins the Premier League next year, it's not a shock because this has been developing over time. So yeah,
especially if they make the moves that they're trying to make. And you talk about the core. We're seeing from different media report, different beat writers saying that they're working on extensions for Bukayo Saka. He's going to be looking at 300,000 a week. Heard Miles Lewis Skelly extension. Feel like they're trying to get the team. They already paid all of Arteta's staff, so it really feels like, okay, we know who the guys who are going to be here. We're going to lock them up, and we're going to make the things that that we need to be added to it. And what I found out, going through the history of this club and everything, that when they built Emirates Stadium, that took a hit on what niggas they could actually get. So it took a long time for them to get out the red.
Yeah, financially, Arsenal will hit hard. And like, I remember, again, like, the dudes who I run the Shirtless Plantain show with, they're all Arsenal fans. So I know more about Arsenal than most people ever imagine. Because
shout out to the Arsenal edition of Shirtless Plantain show. I'll be locked in.
Yeah, so I have to listen to everything Arsenal says, right? Like, I know just as much as Arsenal as I know about Man United, but Arsenal they took a major hit financially when they moved from Highbury to Emirates, which, by the way, Highbury is one of my favorite stadiums ever. My dad used to live opposite the street from Highbury, so that's like that's like, and when neither one of us are Arsenal fans, but that's a Liverpool fan, I'm a United fan, but Arsenal have always been in the lore, right? They've always been around, and like, they took a hit financially. Now they're finally getting to that place. And I also think Josh Kroenke, funny enough, he's actually really helped out what Arsenal's been doing. Like, he's been really leading the charge of them to change their.
One thing you can say is the Kroenkes are cheap. I can tell you, the Los Angeles Rams are a money laundering front. 100%. So you can't say they cheap with anything. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but yeah, Arsenal's improved, man. It's just really goes down to like, fans just need to be patient, man. They gotta understand you want to be successful overnight, but it doesn't work like that, man. Like, these things take time. You're gonna fail a lot before you actually win. It's like anything in life, man. You're gonna fail, but you gotta keep trying. So that's really it.
And I was also looking up stuff. I found out the year I was born, Arsenal won the league that year. I was like, hey, that's what we need to be, man. Last topic on the segment, we want to go to switch our attention to La Liga, man. Barcelona had a late last minute win. They only up by 4. I find it funny. Maybe it's just because how mid Real Madrid has been, that everybody's saying this race is over. They're only up 4 points. And their striker, I forgot his name.
Lewandowski?
Yeah, Lewandowski. He's going to be out. Like, looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Maybe, 3 weeks. Not good. And then you have Real Madrid won last night, last minute goal, without Kylian Mbappe. With everything going on, we hearing about they're going to do a retooling. They're going to get rid of, how you pronounce his last name? Their coach.
Carlo Ancelotti?
Ancelotti. And it's crazy because they just won the Champions League last year. But when you are a club like Real Madrid and you got all this history, it's a higher expectation level, kind of like the Lakers. The Lakers have been through 5 coaches. Frank Vogel won a championship. That nigga's unemployed. He's been fired twice since he's won a championship. kind of same thing we're seeing here. Where do you think that they still have a chance? You know, they're gonna play in the Copa del Rey
Yeah,
this
in the final.
weekend. Yeah, and now they're still back in this race. What do you think about what's going on with this? They're racing in right now and just their future.
Real Madrid are a funny club because you know they're more for their like players and their lore and what they've won more than their coaches. There was a year, 2004 to about 2006, they had 4 coaches in 2 years. And then it was 2009, 2010. Pellegrini was their coach, and he ended up getting 96 points. Barcelona got 99 points, and they fired him. Insane. That's just how Real Madrid are. They're batshit crazy. They don't care. Like they will fire you just because you breathe wrong. They don't really keep coaches for too long. But I will say this: that Real Madrid right now, they need to figure out their squad. I think they're very imbalanced, which is why I wasn't shocked that Arsenal beat them. They have a lot of talented players, but they don't really have talented players in certain positions. Like they really need fullbacks badly. They need a tempo setter in their midfield, and then Mbappe and Vinny, they figured out how to play together, but it's like Mbappe wants to stay towards the left, and it's just weird. And then Rodrigo's there. So it's like they have a lot of talented individuals. Like as a collective, they're not that good. But Barcelona, on the other hand, great going forward. But defensively, Barcelona they play that high line, which is like it works, but it's very suicidal, which is why they got 3 goals scored against them this weekend. Back-to-back players had hat tricks on them in the Champions League in the weekend. So I think Real Madrid end up losing the league title to Real Madrid, to end up losing to Barcelona, and they probably end up losing Copa del Rey to Barcelona. But I think this summer, Real Madrid really have to really look in the mirror and like, where do we want to be? How do we balance out this team? Who's going to be our new coach? Because Carlos probably gone, man. Carlos tired. He's 65 years old. He's been, he was a decent player when he was playing, good player when he was playing, had a really long coaching career. Carlos has been coaching forever. And I just think at some point, he just wants to go to Brazil and vape. Like, that's what he wants to do, man. Smoke his cigarettes in Rio and mind his business. So it's time for Carlos to go enjoy the sun in Brazil. And they probably end up getting Xabi Alonso, was a really good player for them as well. But again, it remains to be seen how they're going to retool in the summer. So that's.
I heard they're trying to get who's my man from Liverpool?
Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, no, not the coach, the player that they're trying to get.
Oh, Trent. They're trying to get Trent. Yeah, that's more than likely a done deal at this point. I think Trent just wants to go over to Spain. He's done everything for Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool fans can't be mad. I mean, he's won 2 league titles at this point. I'm gonna say 2 because Liverpool obviously favors to win the Premier League, and then he's won a Champions League. It's more than Steven Gerrard's ever done for them, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's that.
Final question, because I will miss the first leg of Arsenal PSG because I will be on an airplane. So when I get back, when I can land, I'll see all the reports for everything. But what's your thoughts on the Final Four of the Champions League?
So I said this yesterday on the podcast. I'm saying it again. My top 4 and favorites in order is going to be Arsenal number 1. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have Inter second. And I put those 2 1 and 2 because I think that those 2 teams are really hard to score against. When you're in a tournament in like Champions League, right? You need to be solid defensively, and I think Arsenal and Inter are the most solid defensive teams. PSG and Barcelona, they're talented. Like, I'm not going to hold, like, they have some of the best midfielders. Nico Barella is one of the best midfielders in the world. I think the word of Pedri, I think the word of Gavi. But I just think that they're easy. Like, Arsenal's midfield can outrun PSG. Like, as technical as PSG are, I think, like, when you have somebody like Declan Rice who can just run through anybody, it's going to be hard, right? And they've already played each other, and obviously that was a different PSG and a different Arsenal, so it's going to be very interesting how those styles clashes. Inter's going to be more interesting with Barcelona because Barcelona, like I said, played a high line, a very, very, like, just super high line, right? And Inter, they're not the best individuals. Like, they got some really talented players like Bastoni, Nico Barella, Lautaro Martinez. DeMarco's probably the best left wing back if we're going by formation, the best left wing back in the world. But those names aren't sexy to most average fans of football, right? Unless you're super nerd who watches it all the time. Like, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. But Barcelona have these sexy names. They got Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Gavi, Rafinha, who's probably going to win a Ballon d'Or this year. As well. So for me, it's like, I'm really interested in the tactical battle between Inzaghi and Hansi Flick because while going forward, Barcelona are insanely talented going forward, I think that Inter, they don't care. They will sit back. They will cut you 1,000 ways. They will do any. They will score the ugliest goals in the world and sit on a 1-0 lead, sit on a 2-0 lead, sit on a 2-1, sit on a 3-2 because they just don't care. That's how they play. So I do think, unfortunately, Arsenal are the favorites to win Champions League this year. I really do. But stranger things have happened in football. Stranger things have happened. So
Catch I'm Not Gonna Hold You, hosted by Scott Lewis, every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, only on HNB Media and the Barber's Chair Network.